Hello and welcome to a new SABIAN Masterclass. I'm very happy to have today our good friend, drummer for Axis, drummer for Subsignal, drummer for the Gregor Hilden Organ Trio, and international clinician, our good friend, Dirk Brandt. Hello, Dirk.
Hello, everybody. Hey, hello, everybody. How are you guys doing? Thanks for
Great.
joining us, and thanks for inviting me, Christian. It's a big pleasure. I feel very honored.
Thank you very much. Thanks for taking the time. That's a great studio you're
Well,
sitting in.
it's my home base, and here I do some trekkings, some Skype lessons, of course, in these days, and but usually it's my own little rehearsal studio, practice studio.
Looks great. Great kit. And it sounds great. You already checked it, right?
Oh, oh, all
So,
right.
so Dirk, let's go right in. The topic today is paint by numbers, a fill concept. Can
Yeah.
you tell us a little bit more about this, please?
Yes, of course. When I was studying in the States a long time ago, my mentors were like Joe Porcaro and Ralph Humphrey. And at that time, it was very popular, like the amazing Dave Weckl and his book, Contemporary Drummer Plus One, with all songs and all solos transcribed by him. And everybody in that time was practicing his transcribed solos. And to be very honest, I totally failed. Usually, I'm a very good sight reader. I can very good sight reading. I do percussion ensemble, but I got bored just practicing transcribed drum solos. And I was so depressed by that time because everybody was nailing Dave Weckl, the stuff and the solos, and I was practicing for a page, and if I turned down the page, I couldn't remember. Then I didn't have the same drum set as Dave Weckl. At that time, Dave Weckl had a tom next to his hi-hat. I didn't have that. He had a lot more cymbals. I was a student. I had no money. And I was I felt very bad. And then Joe Porcaro introduced me to somebody, and this lesson is actually a tribute to him. And he introduced me to a guy named Gary Chafee. And
Right.
I took 2 lessons with him, and I took a lot of other lessons because Gary was quite away. With Casey Sherrill, maybe somebody know Casey. He's a fabulous drummer, amazing human person, as Gary Chafee is. And they introduced me to his concept. And this concept was not about memorize transcribed parts. More, it was like to how you can build up your own vocabulary.
Right.
That got my really attention because he was more like, for example, when he was doing something with numbers, like uneven numbers end with one bass drum, then even numbers end with 2 bass drums. So he had a concept behind him. The problem was at that time, and this is why I made, when you asked me, hey Dirk, what might be your topic?
Right.
And that was because Gary said, okay, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this. Then Casey Sherrill said, hey, that's amazing, you can do this, you can do this. And I got totally confused. And I, for myself, I had to find a starting point. And I was thinking, well, the starting point is good. And then from there, I can develop my own voice on the drums, on the
Right.
head, on the concept from Gary Chafee. And this is what I would like to talk about, and I would like to explain later for you guys, or that is to say now.
Okay. Thanks, Jake. I just read some comments asking if we can actually raise up your voice, your speaking microphone voice a little bit, right? So
All right. It's better now?
yeah,
Is
I
it
think
better?
this is better now. Yeah, I can hear you good, but I think for our visitors, actually, yeah, this is better now.
Very good.
So
Is
great.
it better now?
So I think so. Yeah, I'm sure. So I would say actually,
I'm not deaf.
I'm gonna hide in the back. Actually, I give you the
All right.
screen, and we follow up then later on for the question and answer session. Okay?
Thank you.
So see you in a bit.
Later. Hey guys, I hope you can hear me now. Thanks for joining this Masterclass live stream. And I feel very honored and I'm very happy to tell a little about my experience, because for me, Gary Chafee is an amazing person, an incredible drum teacher. And if you don't have his books, please, because you should definitely buy all his drum books. Mine is very used, but his drum books for me are the best drum books in the world. And believe me, those drum books is a lifetime study and you will never end. And when I got to Joe Porcaro, what is an incredible teacher, and Ralph Humphrey introduced to Gary, the interesting part was, as I told you in the beginning, I'm a pretty good sight reader. I can pretty good reading drum charts. I can play big band and musical stuff, but just reading a transcribed drum solos and play it note by note is just not my thing. And this is where Gary introduced me to his number concept. And so I call this concept paint by numbers, the fill concept. Because what he was telling is, and for you guys later, Christian will put my email address later on it. I made some sheets for you, and just get in contact me via Facebook, Instagram, or even with my email, and I will send you those papers. But I was thinking, for explaining, it might be easier not to have papers, because that was actually my goal, playing a drum solo or playing fills, not reading those fills. And so then Gary introduced me to this concept. He was, for example, he was telling, okay, you have number 3. Number 3 are right, left, and a bass drum. For lefties, just do left, right. And maybe he told me, every uneven number, you end with 1 bass drum. When you have an even number, like number 4, you have like right, left, and 2 bass drums. And so on. You did that with 5, with 6, with 7, with 8. So from 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then he started to mix all those phrases, and I got totally confused. And that was something where I was like, whoa, I can't follow up. Because he said, okay, number 3, just for doing on the snare, number 3. Okay, and then he started, okay, number 3, you can do tom 2, tom 1, bass drum. You can do hi-hat, right, bass drum. You can do hi-hat, snare, bass drum. And I got totally confused by all these numbers. So I was thinking by myself, Dirk, you need a starting point where you can rely and every time come back to, and you can later on, if you nail that one, you can go the next step. So what I did for all his numbers, I chose orchestration, which I will, for the first time, I will not change. So for example, number 3, everybody has played that for you. Number 3 would, for me, hi-hat, snare, bass. Everybody had played that. Quite easy, right? Number 4, the second part, ending with 2 bass drums. For example, for number 4, I just took it very, very simple. I just took snare, snare, bass drum, bass drum. It's that easy and that simple. So now I take you one step further. Number 5, and now it gets a little bit more interesting. Number 5, it would be usually snare, 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 and ending with a bass drum. So 4 snare hits and a bass drum. My orchestration for this was snare, tom 1, tom 3, and snare and the bass drum. I think This had so far, everybody had played this at least once in his lifetime. It's like that. Okay, I hope this makes sense. Now, his thing, and that was the interesting part, is you can mix that up. Usually 4/4 bar has how many 16 notes everywhere in the world? Of course, 16. So for example, you can put together the 5, the 3, the 5, and the 3. So you have 5 plus 3, you have 8. 5 plus 3 is the same, just repeating. You have 16. So you have your first 1-bar fill. It sounds like that. Oh, okay. I hope this makes sense for you. So the interesting part was, and that is why I got so interested in Gary Chafee's method, because by the end of this masterclass, if you can only remember number 5 and number 3, and of course you will get the papers if you like, but if you only can remember 5 and 3, because when I was practicing and I used fills, I was stuck into notes, and then I was on stage and I couldn't remember the fill, and or the drum set was different, and I got totally confused. So with his numbers, with his system, I only had to remember some orchestrations for his numbers. So at least number 3, hi-hat, snare, bass, and of course, number 5, snare, tom 1, tom 3, snare, bass drum. Very important. You should first practice slow, and you have to count. You should really, I do it now very soft that your ears are not, so you should really be able to count 16 notes, like 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1. I hope this was not too loud. You should really, it's not just numbers putting together, you should be able to count. That's very, very important, that you really know the phrasing and where the beats are, and later you can step on. So the interesting part comes now for me, because now we have 5, 3, 5, 3. No, because we know these two numbers, we can mix them. So we can do, for example, 5, 3, 3, 5. That would be like that. First, very slow. So again, you have a new fill. Now, next step, just replace the numbers for different ones. For example, you can do 3, 5, 5, 3. So the 3 is now in the beginning. That would be like that. And so again, you have a completely new fill. And this you can take a lot more fun and to do. What I do now, I would play the same fills. For example, I start with 5-3-5-3, then I do maybe 5-3-3-5, and then do the 3-5-5-3. And I just mix the numbers. And this is what I tell you. When you remember tonight only these two numbers and you have them memorized and check your movements and see that your body is relaxing with that, that's superb. And you have a totally new stuff. And the interesting part is because why I choose those numbers. I was a lot of times thinking, how can I explain this to my students? Because I thought this concept is so amazing. I would like to share this with younger people. And even my youngest students can play those fills. And they came up with very, very interesting phrasing stuff. But this in the future. Okay, now I play a little bit faster and just mix up those numbers. Listen to that one. So, in this last example, what I just did, I just was playing two bars of 5 and 3 and just mix those patterns up, just how I like them. And this is so much fun. What I did, for example, I have some music for you because this makes a lot more sense. All right, now we do this, the same concept, 5-3-5-3 with music. And then it makes just more like on real stage how I can use this, because that was for me the most important part. How can I remember all this stuff? How can I find my own voice with that? What I do now, I have like a couple of different camera angles. For example, this one, I have this one we can do later. So I just play the music, and while I play the music, I switch the camera angle so you can see again the 5 and the 3. First, I switch camera angle, and you can see very slowly 5-3-5-3 again, because I didn't do that before. Okay, check this one. Okay, now before I turn on the music, the last one I did already like a little bit a different orchestration, because usually for number 3, I do hi-hat, snare, bass. And then what I just did, I put the last one because 5-3-5-3 or um, 3-5-5-3. So I made a different voicing. So I put the last three or the second three on the floor tom. Instead of playing hi-hat, snare, bass, I played floor, snare, bass drum. Okay, now the same with music. Alrighty. So you see, with music makes a lot more sense. I try to do different styles like the reggaeton stuff or the normal dance stuff or funky groove. You can just put everything in it. Okay, now it comes to number. I told you already about the number four. The second one. Number four is two bass drums. Okay, number four is now very interesting because four actually what you can do is like 4-4-5-3, and you have another one bar. Okay, 4-4, snare, snare, bass drum for the four. Okay. All right. You see, I switched from 4-4-5-3. I switched to 4-5-4-3 or 5-4-4-3. There's so many different options. What I do now, I play the same stuff, but with different music. Just to give you a new idea, what you can do. All right. Okay. I think with music makes much more sense to practice, and the practicing is much more fun. So now 5-4-4-3 or 4-4-5-3, 5-3, 5-3. I just make these three numbers, and I definitely think you already know them by heart. Number 3, hi-hat, snare, bass. Number 5, most tricky one so far, snare, tom 1, tom 3, snare, and the bass drum. And just get in the beginning, do it slow, get with the movement, and try to count that you really know where the one is. Okay, 4-5-3 numbers together. Alrighty. I hope this makes sense. Now, there were some things which were kind of new because I didn't stay the same with the 3 and the 4. I didn't stay on the same orchestration. Because for me, the easiest part, I remembered every time Gary said, hey, you can do this, you do high, you do that. And I was with millions of orchestrations we drummers have. I got totally confused and I didn't know, no clue where to start. And this is where I started. Again, number 3, remember, hi-hat, snare, bass drum. Number 4, snare, snare, bass drum, bass drum. And the easiest part was to change number 3 from to, or to change the snare from, or what I like to do is this, for example. Okay, I hope this makes sense again. So just start. And of course, you don't have to use my vocabulary or my orchestration. Make up just your own. But I was a lot of time thinking, how can I make it easy for myself? Because I really tried so hard to practice transcribed drum solos, and I got so mad and so frustrated about it because I couldn't remember all the bars. It was just a mess for me. And as I told you, I'm a pretty good reader, but it's just not my thing, reading transcribed solos. I love transcribed solos and just put a phrase and practice only that phrase. That's interesting, and then try to make this phrase my own. That's a different story. So it's not that I don't like transcribed drum solos, and if you can do it, perfect. Just for me, I had really a hard time because I just couldn't do it. I just felt comfortable. No, I got bored after a while because I didn't nail it. And with this concept, with the numbers concept, I made so fast improvements, and it was a joy to play, to make music, and then oh wait, this works great, and you can do what I just did, like 2 bars, whatever. Now, maybe you notice one thing. If you put, for example, like 5/3, and you put 4/4, you're ending with 2 bass drum notes, okay? And usually when you play the one, you have 3 bass drum notes. Definitely for me, too much. I can play. Okay, I can use a double bass drum, but I think what is much more interesting, because when you sight read, and there is a lot of figures in the charts which end or which start on the one end. So what I did a flam, or I do a flam on the one. Could be snare, could be a floor tom and snare, and I just crash on one, like that, for example. All right. So for me, oops, for me it makes much more sound. I can do at that angle once again too. Maybe it's for you guys much more clearer. All right. So this is for me much more interesting. So now we go a little bit further. We have number 5. What is number 6? Number 6, very easy because I want to make it simple for me because I can't remember all those notes. So number 6 is tom 1, tom 1, tom 3, tom 3, and 2 bass drum. That's easy. Everybody has played that one. So, for example, 6 plus 5 plus there. Okay, what do we have? Does it work? No, because we have the 7. Number 5 would be 5, 6, 5. Well, mathematics. Well, I should go to school again. So first 5, 6, and 5. 5, 6, 5. Number 3, that comes later with the 7. Okay. Again, 5, 6, 5. Okay, listen to that one. All right. Again, I do this again with no. Before I do this with music, I do the 7 because 7 6 3 7 very easy. Everybody had played this 7 phrase, and this is why I say all my students can do it because it's so easy. It's like tom 1 snare, tom 2 snare, tom 3 snare, and the bass drum. It's like that. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. No, you do 7 6 3. I put the different screen on. I definitely think everybody has played that kind of fill. No, what I do now, I do 7 6 3. Listen to that one. All right. Again. All right. So let's do all these combinations. Let's do all these combinations with this backing track. So you have like 7 6 3. Then we do 5 6 5, 4 4 5 3, 5 6, just to get an idea when you mix them up. All right. You shouldn't think about when you do that because I was thinking, what, how to play. So it's really interesting. Just go. I mean, this. Just pick some phrases. I think some phrases work really, really well with music, and some don't. Okay, let's do another step. We have number eight, and number eight is complicated and I think easy at the same time. Why? Because okay. Number eight is the longest phrase, but we're ending with two bass drums. That's the easiest part. And the easiest part is number eight is a good way to start because number eight is two quarter notes. And my orchestration for this one, I start on tom two, snare, snare, tom three, and ending with two bass drums. So very slowly, very, very soft. It's 1 E and 2 E and when you put it as 32nd notes. Or in 16, 1 E and 2 E and So I play 8-5-3. Okay, I do the same stuff with some music. Yo. 8-5-3, and maybe then I change the pattern. Okie dokie. The interesting part is now Of course, what you can do it as 30-second notes too. But I would like to show you one stuff. And actually, what I like and those kind of music, and I know everybody knows nowadays putting a splash cymbal on the snare and you have a nice effect. Of course, that's interesting. But what I like, and I stole this from Gerald Haver, exactly for this kind of music, for EDM like kind of stuff. Everybody knows this when you play like the snare like that. I do later. Okay, I turn a little bit more of the snare up that you can hear. Because what I do now, I hope it's not too loud now. I stole from Jerry Hale because what he was doing, there was many people doing nowadays. He was playing the stick. You can see it here on both on snare and hi-hat. And the stick, it sounded almost like he was flamming. I do it first. I play like that. The stick is not. It's not like just like doing that. The tip of the stick on the hi-hat and the butt end on the stick on the snare drum, they're not in unison. It's like more like a flamming stuff. It's like more like a whipping motion. And what I do now, because I love what Gerald Hayward was doing that, because it sounded a little bit like a drum computer was playing with him. I will demonstrate once again a little bit faster, like a normal, like a dance beat. So, because that was actually the tempo what I wanted, and then I thought, hey, why don't you put a splash cymbal on the snare drum? And what I did is like a combination between it's a little bit paradiddle stuff, and usually this. I'm sorry, this doesn't belong to this lesson actually, but I just love that stuff, and you should definitely check it out. And oh, with that. There we are. There we are. Screen went black. So what I do here now, I play like paradiddle stuff. For example, listen to that one. What I do now. Okay, I hope you dig that stuff. I just love it. It's actually, I turned the snare a little bit more down. I hope your ears were not bleeding. So okay, so you definitely have to check that out. Actually, the best splash cymbal is the Paragon, the Paragon splash. What you should do normally, you should put what is called duct tape. I think it's called duct tape on the snare that it don't move around. I just forgot it. All right, now let's go back to our number systems, and then I think because Christian probably say, Dirk, shut up. We had now the number system. We had it in 16 notes. For me, the joy starts when you put it in 30-second notes. And a good way to start, let's take number 8865. 88, 16, 24, yeah, 32. It's you get new mathematics actually. So it would be 2 times number 8, 1 time number 6, and 2 times number 5. Okay, I turned down the volume of the microphone. Okay, I lost my microphone. You see what you can do with it, and there's so many stuff, so many nice stuff. What I did, because and that probably we and I could do for hours longer. And um, what I did now, for example, I have here to practice some uh, um, 30-second note stuff. Um, where is it? For example, like the same stuff we did just um, for a slow version, for example, like that one here, kind of deck that you can practice a lot. Okay, I think that was a good ending. And I lost again my microphone. You see, you can do so many stuff. This the number system, and this is not my concept. This is all by Gary Chafee. What I just put it in my simplest way that I can play it and that I can remember it. And if you don't know about Gary Chafee, he's amazing teacher, had so many amazing students. And if you don't have his book, please support him, buy his books, because every book is it's jewelry, and you can learn so many stuff on it. The only thing is, what I had to do with many of his exercises, I had to how can I say it? I had to rearrange or make them so that I can play them. Maybe I should do it like that. That I should how can I say it? That I'm able to play those stuff, that I can do different stuff, etc., etc. And this was just the beginning. You can what I just did. You can play the hi-hat there, the toms there. Just try out by yourself, and you can email me, find me on Facebook or on Instagram, or I'm teaching at a private university in Germany called RP Jam, Rock Pop Jazz Academy. You can reach me there. It's a private music school, but there's a government degree, and where I teach this stuff. And it's amazing what students can come up with. What I usually don't do, and that was actually kind of hard for me today. Usually, I don't stay in this concept. Then, what I usually do, I put like six tablets in it. I do different orchestrations. I mixed a lot. This was the fills, and that was really hard for me to concentrate on, that I really stay in this concept. But if you work on that concept for with the numbers, it's paint by numbers. You only have to remember, when you remember today, like three numbers, 3, 4, 5. Then you have so many exercises and fills, and you don't have to have papers. If you want, you can get the papers from me, um, but work on them first by yourself, and then maybe take a peek. First, try to remember what have you saw. Okay, four snare snare bass drum, number five, and number three. Okay, Christian, are you there?
I'm here. I'm here. What a great lesson. Thanks, Dirk. This was great.
Yeah, I hope you liked it. Thanks a lot for having me,
Absolutely.
man.
Wow.
I really enjoyed it.
So I would say we're opening up for your questions, right? So people, please send your questions in to Dirk, right? And I got one question right here about the effect symbols, about that effect stack. I've seen that ozone effect hats with the ozone on top. Can you let us know what
Yeah,
combination
well,
that is?
yeah, it's very interesting. I was looking many times for second hired, but I was looking for a trashy sound, and normal hats were uh, to what is that? To the definition was too clear, and I was looking for more trashy. So what I did, and Sabian was so kind to send me an ozone. Actually, Christian, that was because these hats are very old. This was one of the first you actually said, Dirk, you should take an ozone because I've never heard of them before. Um, at least that's 12 years, definitely 12 years ago. So the top hat is an ozone, and on the bottom, that was actually my creation. On the bottom is an arrow crash, an 16 arrow crash, and because both have holes, and this is why the sound is so trashy. Hopefully, well, probably through the microphone, it's very trashy now. Christian, when I should put the microphone on my t-shirt, just let me know if it's too loud or something like that.
Yeah,
So,
if you want to demonstrate, if you turn the
yeah.
speaker mic down a little bit, would be so it gives you the full set. Sounds great.
All right.
Great, thanks. Great
I just
demonstration.
love the hats. The hats are amazing, and because it's not a standard combination. And really, you were really 12 years ago. You
Gee,
recommend me the Ozones. It's so long ago, or
right.
even longer.
Gee, what's that little combination over the tom tom, the 10-inch tom tom, that
Okay,
stack?
this is actually something by myself too. It's it's a Chet Smith Holy China, the little one, and on top is a Max Splash. So it's like that, and the sound is very harsh and very distinct. So all right.
Great, thanks. So we got a question here from Christoph Sider asking for the play alongs if they are
Okay.
available.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for asking. If you want, I put the email is down under the screen if you like. Um, you can send me an email and you will get all the play alongs and even more because we didn't. I already saw we had already 9 o'clock. Um, I put all the loops for your practicing. The loops are around 2 minutes for you to practice the fills. It's in different tempos, so you can practice along with them. And because for me, it's much more easier because when I heard something, then I can rely on the same music because sometimes you have a fill and man, how can I use it? How can I work that stuff out? And how can I put that in? So if you want, I have the sheet music of the written exercises and I put all the play alongs in a Dropbox folder and just write me an email and I send you the Dropbox links. And so if you like, you can practice through the music. All right.
Great. So Götz from Gemmingen is asking, what snare drum do you play? And if you can do a quick rundown of your kit.
Okay. Hi, Guts. The snare drum is actually, I had to do, actually, it belongs to Pearl still, but I'm thinking about stealing it because it's a bell brass. It's a reference bell brass snare. And I asked the German product manager, and because I had to do a recording very, very 80s. And I had to the per raw the raw brass, but there was not that cutting the cutting sound I was looking for, and so I asked them, "Hey, can I maybe you have in stock because every company has for artists when they come over, like Radels here when they come over, that they have like a different snares and stuff like that. Hey, can I have this?" For this recording, I would like to check out the bell brass. And this is actually, I wanted to have a 14 by 6.5, but they only had a 14 by 5. And this thing is a beast. I really love it. And first I was afraid it was too loud or if I had to get used to the volume. So it's a bell brass referenced by Pearl. It's 14 by 5. Then the toms and the whole kit, and I think the kit sounds beautiful, and I think it looks beautiful. If I didn't have my bend marks on here on the toms, it really looks beautiful, and it's a Pearl Marshalls maple gum, and this drums is a killer. Actually, it's the highest series from Pearl. The highest series from Pearl. It's a master master session, but Pearl said, okay, what we have to do, we have to have the best configuration, we have the best customers' feedback, we have to make it more open to the public. So this is why actually, I think it came out NEM last year in 2019. This is a Pearl Marshalls maple gum. And this kit is just, it's amazing. It has like four maple, four layers of maple and two of the gum wood, and it sounds beautiful. Really, it has really that deep, kind of a little bit vintage style of sound, and I really love it. Usually, I have on top Imperial, Remo Imperial, Remo Imperial hats, but I thought because for this view it would look nicer to show you the inside because I think it just looks beautiful. I put like the Emperor clear. These are from my reference kit, but I didn't have new ones, and actually I had to vacuum clean my floor. Actually, now you don't see it really, but it was all over with wood, and so I had to vacuum clean the whole the home studio here. But if you don't have, please check out the Pearl Masters. It's like 10, 12, 14, 16, and it's a 22 by 18-inch bass drum. Okay.
Great. Can you give us a quick info on your cymbal setup also,
Yeah.
please?
Yeah. For me, a cymbal, usually I change cymbals because you already mentioned, Chris, I play so many different styles. Actually, I was a jazz drummer Now I'm playing with a German metal band called Axis in Wacken at Bang Your Head, in Russia, in Spain. Before Corona, we just went to Spain and we had to leave. Then I played in America with Subsignal in Atlanta, Prog Power, and I did 70,000 tons of metal cruise in January. And usually I have different setups. And this is like a 14-inch artisan in traditional finish. Then on top, and this is my China I have with every band. It doesn't matter if it's my jazz gig with my organ trio or the blues gig, or if it's my prog or my pop stuff. It's a I don't know. I think it's a 22 Zen China. I just know it's a Zen China, and this is for me the best China I've ever heard, because it's so different in colors. Here on my right side, your left side, I usually change. This time I have a 20 ozone evolution ozone crash. Usually there is a different China, another China which I love is a Neil Peart Paragon, amazing China, and it's I have one, at least it's one of the first China I got from SABIAN, and I don't give it away because it's already banned, it's used, but it sounds so amazing. And actually, this is for me the perfect combination: Zen China and the Neil Peart Paragon China. I think it's a 21 inch. So then here is 14 Artisan Crash in brilliant this time. What I like about that one, because then the normal traditional, they have a little bit more high cut through in the mix. This is an 18, like 16, 18. I think it's said 14, right? Doesn't matter. So 16, 18. Then here I have Big Ugly, the Pandora. This is actually my favorite to go right to, because when I do fusion stuff, because it's dry but still has a lot from the bell. It cuts through the music. That's what I like. And this one here, actually, yeah, it's a different combination. It's a normal chopper. Sorry to the microphone. Everybody, boop. A chopper, and on top I have actually, Christian, you gave me them for a long time again too, when I started my relationship with SABIAN. It's a 10-inch evolution. It's a prototype, and I just love it on top of it, because the chopper, it makes it even more, the sound, it decays really the sound of the chopper. It makes it a lot more smaller, and it cuts through the mix every time. So that's yeah, you definitely have to check out their Big Ugly stuff. And for me, my main go-to China, the Zen China. Okay.
It's a great combination. I mean, so many different contexts and sounds, actually, right? Mixing different series, it's great. Sounds great.
Cool.
So, looking for some more questions. We got the warm-up exercises. So, do you have some routine actually before going on a show, or do you have a normal practice routine that you do warm-up before you start?
Yeah, first of all, I do like that what everybody do, some paradiddles, some double strokes, whatever. And what I do, and the last time, and I do this with my students too, and it's a great exercise actually for the feet too. And it's like you do like 2 bars of double strokes, then 2 bars of inverted double strokes, and then, because then when you do inverted, you land with your other hand, with the left hand. Then you do again double strokes for 2 bars, and then you switch again to the inverted double stroke. I do it very slow. and then you're back on your right side. So it's like right, right, left, left. Then it's like right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, inverted. Then you're on the left hand, and then you do the same with the left inverted, and then you back to your right leading hand. And this is a killer exercise, even for the feet, if you play double bass drum, because usually I'm not a native double bass drum player. Actually, my roots is more like the jazz and funk stuff. I grew up listening to Level 42, Tower of Power. I had those pleasure to had some 11 lessons with David Garibaldi, where I was living in the States actually too. And that's actually my roots. And then I fell in love overnight because I had to play in Wacken. That was 2008. Usually, of course, I knew a little bit rock music, but from 2008, I met the great band Axis, which were in the 90s, really big in Germany and in Europe. And well, it's more like hard rock metal. They had like this what is it called, this power metal time. They Axis had different times, but every time they found to their roots. And that's what I like, and this is why I like Axis. And so overnight I had to play double bass drum. And in the beginning, 16 was never the problem, but when I play like triplets and the bass drum, like a sextuplet and that kind of stuff, I really had to practice my ass off to play a double bass drum shuffle or whatever. So yeah, one there from 2008, I started my rock drumming career. Um, and for me, it's so important. That's for you, and this is why I love Sabian cymbals so much. Um, you have really, first of all, you the tone of the cymbals is so unique. Every symbol is different. Every symbol has its own love stamp. What I really like, it's really blend beautiful. The tonality, the quality is amazing, and yeah, I'm just happy, and I'm just happy that Sabian supports me, and I'm really really thankful. And what I on the other side like sometimes I need just on the fly for a recording session or for a different gig, I needed a symbol which I can't choose by myself. And every time they sent me a symbol from, well, 99%, it's a perfect symbol. Even if I didn't know that they ask, hey, what kind of tone, what is it, and which range, high frequency, and they sent me a symbol and it fits in my symbol setup. And this is amazing. And the quality speaks for itself.
Thank you. Thanks for the kind words.
Yeah,
Appreciate
no,
it.
but thank you.
We got a question from WeJ here for a simple basic groove. Can you please maybe just demonstrate a simple basic groove?
A, 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 a simple basic groove.
Yeah, simple basic groove. Can you teach quick simple basic groove? And probably then follow up and contacting you directly on with the
Yeah,
email with your email contact.
you mean like a simple groove or a symbol groove?
No, simple,
That's what I do.
simple,
A
just a
simple,
simple
okay.
groove.
For
Yeah.
just a simple groove. What for me is very important. I mean, today you heard so many fills, and usually every band is happy if you don't play fills at all. But this is a drumming masterclass, and this is why usually when you play to music so many fills, you definitely get fired. But it's a joy. It's a joy to just go nuts, and I just love it. But most of the times, what I do is like playing a normal groove, and that's like that. And this is why I got paid for. So this is just normal basic based on one and three amp. What I like to do, even if it's simple, I like to add a lot of ghost notes. What I do now, I start the simple beat, snare on 2 and 4, just high 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, bass drum on 1 and on the 3 end. I just to squeeze in ghost notes, because for me it's more like a rolling carpet. It's more like a river, it flows. I like it more. But you have to be careful. If you play in a normal rock band, it should be already too busy in a rock band. So for Axis, it's just nailing, go for it. But like with the organ trio, when I do the blues, jazz gigs, the funky stuff, the soul stuff, I can squeeze in a lot of ghost notes. So first, very straight, and then I put some ghost note, and sometimes I put a little bit in between, like a little triplet feel. It's not really straight. It's a little swung sometimes. And whoops. And by this, you can really expand your whole vocabulary. And fills are great, but this is the money. But we have a drumming masterclass, or if you play in a drum festival, I think it's a totally, or you're giving a drum clinic, it's some kind of a, well, we're drummers. This is our instrument. And I love to play in a, like with an organ trio, I love to play just for hours a beat. Obviously, Axis is like straight and heavy rock beats. But it's great when you can expand and just go nuts on the drums. Just as like we're simple, just play first count. For me, well, many students ask me, do I have to count? Do I have to read notes? Definitely yes. Definitely yes. And you can ask so many great drummers. And nowadays, you don't have to read. Actually, it's the same for me. I'm not a studio drummer. I'm not going in a studio, even if I like film music, like the trailer on SABIAN cymbals I wrote by myself, and I can't play piano, whatever. I just put it together. And in a studio, usually I don't get reading notes. But for a gig, when you are writing drum charts, or when you have like an urgent call, hey, Dirk, today is Friday, tomorrow Saturday we have a gig. You have to have, can you play tomorrow the gig, and you have to know by heart overnight 30 songs. Then of course I can do that because I'm able to read drum charts, and 30 songs I can't remember overnight. But this is good why I can read drum charts. In the studio you don't need. But it really helps if you have little knowledge how about reading music. It helps so much, and the whole conversation is much more clearer, and it's much more fun, and you will see it helps so much. And I just did a digital live stream for drums and percussion Paderborn with Chester Thompson, amazing drummer, amazing human. Then Jerry Brown, I played in America on a drum festival in November with Jerry Brown. They all can read drum notes and drum music, and it helps so much. And it's really so even if you know the simplest form, if you do it much more often, every day a little bit sight reading, after all the figures, after a while, they look really the same. And it's not that hard. And just count. For me, every student of mine, they have to count loud. Then when they play a beat, they have to really 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I actually when I played the groove, sorry, I think I said 3 and the bass drum was on 2 and. I'm sorry for that one. So that's my main money gig. Bass drum on 1 and 3, and the bass on 1 and 2 and the other step would be the 3 and. If you know this by heart, and this makes sound feel good, you're on the money. Actually, that's all you need. And there's so many fantastic drummers. They have really fairly technique, but the feel, the sense. For me, a drummer I like from saying everybody, Levin Helm, amazing. Or for me, another guy, I had the opportunity to do a clinic tour in China, Nundugu Chancellor. What a gentleman, what a drummer. And I learned so much talking with him. And he explained, hey, Dirk, this and that. And I just love it. Or Chester Thompson is the same. I have so big respect for him. Hey, he played with Zappa. He played Phil Collins. He played in a really awesome jazz trio. And this is actually what I'm doing music, why I play drums. It's for me, it's not the metal, it's not the rock thing, it's not the jazz thing. I just love playing drums and music. And the music genre doesn't matter. It's for me, it's so interesting to play different genres. And sometimes I get a student and say, hey, Dirk, can you play that new fill from Thomas Lang? And I would laugh that I could play it, or from Terry Bozzio, who's an amazing drummer. But when I practice today, because that's a very often question, when I practice today, I don't have really the time to play Thomas Lang fills or grooves or whatever, or playing a 1916. Because what I do, I play between 150 and 180 gigs a year. And I can come to the next gig and say, oh, sorry, I know I had to learn 20 songs, but I can only play 10. But I can play the new lick of Terry Bozzio on Thomas Lang. Isn't that cool? And they would stare at me, no, you have to play, you have to support the band. So it's great when you play fills, and it's cool when you do it, but usually the money beat, that's where you have to focus on. And that's is why I have like people like Jim Keltner, my highest respect, or Levin Helm. I just love it. All right.
Great, thanks for the answer. Thanks for the explanation. And all legendary players you mentioned. Great.
Yeah.
I got one more question before we wrap up.
Yeah. I think we
actually,
over time. I'm sorry for that.
No problem, no problem. Do you have any recording plans for this year? Is there anything planned recording-wise that you play?
The band Subsignal just released a new album. It's a prog album, and we just played in Atlanta the Prog Power Festival, and we released on 22nd of May. So very new for us. We released a live recording album. Actually, was never expected like that, because we just did the recording for us to see how the band is, how it works. But some press guys heard the recording and they fell in love with it and said, hey, you should put it out on record. And we did, and the reviews are really amazing, really amazing. So, and Subsignal is doing already, we are in the writing of new songs, and I probably will be in the studio in what is it called, autumn winter. Then I will definitely be in the studio. Then the organ trio, we played in so many jazz and blues festivals, and we have one CD out, and the demand on having a next CD is so big, so we're going in October in the studio for recording a new CD. And actually I use a lot of the crescent SABIAN cymbals there. I really love the Jeff Hamilton stuff. It's amazing. And the Artisan Elite cymbals, amazing. And it's totally different flavor. It's only like 2 toms, so no tom 2, no tom 4, and it's just great. And it's all about groove, of course, interaction. And because the organ player is a drummer too, Wolfgang, and he's amazing, and he plays organ and drums, and he knows what I'm playing, and that's really great. And Gregor is just an awesome blues guitar player. So we're doing a recording in October, and Axis, we are writing on new stuff too, which we'll probably record in the beginning of next year. So there's a lot to do, and of course, usually I have many gigs, but till October, dead.
Well, it sounds you're very busy. That all sounds interesting. Looking forward to listening to that.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't get yeah. Now you're gone.
Okay, I hope you can hear me.
Ah, there he is again.
Okay, I'd like to say thank you very much, Dirk. It was a great masterclass. Really appreciate taking the time and that you joined us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you really much for having me. It was a pleasure. It's great. And thank you all of you guys out there. Thanks for joining us. And because for me, it's the first time doing this kind of stuff for Sabian. So I'm happy that somebody is watching me. And well, stay safe, stay healthy. Christian, thanks so much for being my host.
Thank you. And thanks, everybody.
I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.